As the heat of summer starts to loosen its grip across many temperate regions, the garden opens up again. Cooler nights and softer sun mean the leafy greens that struggled or bolted in July are exactly what a September container wants. And several of the crops on this list can give you tender, edible leaves in just a few weeks rather than months. This countdown is ranked on how fast you can realistically eat something from it, how forgiving it is in a pot, how well it takes to cooling weather, and how much it keeps giving back after that first cut. Quick one before we start. If you're new here, this channel is all about growing real food in small spaces, pots, patios, balconies, no yard required. Hitting subscribe keeps this kind of planting timing landing in your feed right when you actually need it. All right, into the list. We'll start with a slightly unusual entry before working toward the crops most gardeners reach for. First, sitting at number 16 is watercress. Most people picture it growing wild in a stream. And while that's its natural habitat, a container version is entirely possible using a wide, shallow tray kept standing in an inch or two of water that gets refreshed every day or two. September's mild air suits it far better than summer heat, and young sprigs can sometimes be snipped within 2 to 3 weeks of sowing. With a peppery bite that holds up well in a sandwich or a simple salad, it asks for more day-to-day attention than anything else here, which is really the only reason it lands at the bottom of this list rather than off it altogether. Because for gardeners willing to keep that tray topped up, it's one of the more interesting things you can grow on a patio. From here, the list starts leaning toward crops with a bit more character in the flavor department. Number 15 brings a sharper edge with endive. Curly endive and its smoother relative escarole both take well to cool September weather. And an 8-inch container gives the roots enough depth to eventually form a full head if you let the plant go that far. The quicker reward is in the baby leaves, which can often be ready for a light harvest in 3 to 4 weeks, well ahead of a mature frisée-style rosette. Its bitterness is the defining trait here, a welcome contrast in a mixed salad for some, a bit much on its own for others. So where it lands in your own rotation really depends on your palate rather than how easy it is to grow. Next comes a crop that trades a quick payoff for something that lasts much longer. Moving up to number 14, collard greens. A full-size collard leaf takes real patience, but thinnings pulled early can often be worth cooking with by around 3 weeks. And a 10 to 12-inch container gives the eventual root system enough room to support the plant properly. What earns collards their spot is cold hardiness that goes well beyond most of this list, shrugging off a light frost without slowing down, and a habit of pushing out fresh growth from the top for months once established. One September sowing, in other words, can realistically still be feeding you well into the heart of fall when. The next one takes that staying power even further. Number 13 is Swiss Chard. Baby leaves can often be ready for salads in around 3 weeks. But the real value shows up afterward, since chard keeps producing new leaves from the center almost indefinitely once it's established in a 12-inch pot. It tolerates cooling temperatures with ease and often keeps going straight through the first light frosts of the season. And because you're only ever taking a few outer leaves at a time, one container can genuinely carry you through the rest of the year, rather than being harvested once and finished. The red, yellow, and white stem varieties are a nice bonus if you want something that looks as good on the patio as it tastes on the plate. Now the countdown shifts toward crops that reward you faster. And the first of those is impossible to ignore. Number 12 is turnip greens. Grown here for the tops rather than the root. A shallow container of just 6 to 8 inches is all that's needed. And under decent conditions, the first baby leaves can be ready in around 3 weeks. What sets turnip greens apart is what happens after a light frost. When the leaves tend to sweeten noticeably, a small surprise most gardeners don't expect the first time they taste it. They do grow thickly if oversown, so a bit of early thinning keeps the remaining plants from crowding each other out. That closes out the first stretch of the list, and from here the pace starts to pick up, because everything left combines real speed with real usefulness in a container. Number 11 goes to radish greens. If you've ever pulled radishes and tossed the tops straight in the compost, this one might change your mind, because the greens are entirely edible, slightly peppery, and can be snipped in as little as 2 to 3 weeks. A shallow 6-inch container is plenty, and because the radishes themselves finish up not long after, you're effectively getting 2 harvests, leafy greens first and crisp roots close behind, from a single sowing. Texture is the one caveat. The leaves can be a little fuzzy. So many gardeners prefer them wilted into a dish rather than eaten raw. The next crop earns its place through sheer bolt resistance, which matters more than people expect this early in fall 4. Number 10 is Komatsuna. Sometimes labeled Japanese mustard spinach, its flavor sits comfortably between the two. And an 8-inch container is enough to get a dense little patch going, with baby leaves often ready around the 3-week mark. Where it separates itself is holding steady through the kind of unpredictable warm afternoon that can still show up early in September and send other greens rushing to flower. Cut the outer leaves and leave the center growing, and one planting can keep regenerating for weeks. We're now into the crops where container shape genuinely changes what you can grow, and this next one is a perfect example. Number 9 belongs to Tatsoi. It grows as a neat, low rosette, which makes it far better suited to a wide, shallow pot than a deep, narrow one. 6 to 8 inches of soil is genuinely enough, and the compact habit means you can pack plants in tightly without them fighting for space. Cold hardiness is its real strength, tolerating a light frost with barely a pause, which makes it one of the better bets for a container still producing well into November in many regions. The dark, spoon-shaped leaves carry a mild, faintly mustardy flavor, and whether you take the whole rosette at once or pick leaf by leaf, it adapts to however much you actually need that week wine. From this point on, every crop on the list is one that genuinely performs better in September than it did all summer. Number 8 is Baby Bok Choy. The baby varieties are bred to stay small, which suits an 8-inch pot perfectly, and young leaves can often be ready around the 3-week point, with small heads forming a few weeks later if you give the plant room to keep developing Raufrix. It grows noticeably better once the summer heat backs off, showing far less tendency to bolt than it did a month earlier. And the crisp stems hold up well, whether eaten raw or dropped into a quick stir-fry. Because the plants stay compact, several will fit into one wide container, which usually means a bigger overall harvest than the pot size would suggest. If a few of these have already got you thinking about what to plant this weekend, drop a comment with which one you're starting first. It genuinely helps this video reach more container gardeners looking for the same kind of list. We've cleared the first half, and from here, the countdown moves into the crops that combine real speed with real staying power, the ones most worth making room for. Number 7 is Mâche, sometimes called corn salad. It's slower than most of what's already been covered, typically closer to 5 or 6 weeks for a proper rosette. But that patience buys you a plant capable of surviving well below freezing once it's established, often still producing long after everything else on this list has finished for the year P. A shallow 4 to 6 inch container is all it needs, since the root system stays compact, and the small, soft, faintly nutty leaves are usually cut as a whole rosette at the base. Still harvesting a fresh salad green from a container in the dead of winter is one of those small gardening wins that's hard to explain until you've done it yourself. The next crop is where speed starts becoming the headline rather than just a nice bonus. Number 6 is mustard greens. Baby leaves can be ready in as little as 2 to 3 weeks. Among the quickest turnarounds on this entire list, and an 8-inch container is enough to support a good crop, cooling weather actually improves it, often deepening the flavor rather than dulling it, and the plant regrows readily enough that a single sowing can be cut several times before it's finally spent. The heat in the leaves intensifies as they mature, so most gardeners harvest young for salads and let a portion size up for cooking, where that sharpness mellows considerably at E. From here on, every entry earns its ranking through an unusually strong combination of qualities rather than just one standout trait. Number 5 is Baby Kale. Sown thickly as a cut-and-come-again crop, young leaves are often ready around 3 weeks, and an 8 to 10-inch container gives it enough depth to keep producing through several rounds of cutting. Cold doesn't just get tolerated here, it actively helps, since a touch of frost tends to sweeten the leaves noticeably. And with the summer cabbage moths long gone by September, pest pressure drops off substantially too. Few crops on this list handle a wide swing in temperature as calmly as this one does. The next crop has waited all summer for exactly these conditions. Number 4 is spinach. Baby leaves can often be harvested around 3 weeks in, and a 6 to 8 inch container is sufficient since the roots stay fairly shallow. Frost tends to sweeten it rather than damage it, which makes late season harvests some of the best tasting of the year, though spinach is noticeably less tolerant of a container, drying out completely, than the sturdier crops earlier on this list. So consistent watering matters more here than almost anywhere else. Get that right, and outer leaves can be picked repeatedly for weeks on end. Only the strongest 3 remain now, and each one solves a slightly different problem, better than anything ranked below it. Number 3 is Mizuna. Feathery and mild. It can often be ready for a first baby leaf harvest in as little as 2 to 3 weeks, planted densely into a 6 to 8 inch container without much concern for spacing harvest. It shrugs off cooling September air and regrows so readily after cutting that 3 or 4 separate harvests from one sowing is entirely realistic. For anyone who's had a rougher time with fussier greens, this is one of the easier places to rebuild some confidence, since it's genuinely hard to get wrong. Just one crop stands ahead of what comes next, and this one is close enough to the top that it could easily have taken the final spot itself. Number 2 is loose leaf lettuce. A 6 inch container is all it needs. Baby leaves are often ready around 3 weeks in, and the plant keeps regrowing from the base for a month or more of cut and come again picking after that first cut. September plays directly to its strengths, since loose leaf varieties turn bitter and bolt fast in summer heat, but grow sweet and tender once temperatures ease off. And few crops fill a pot with color that quickly, which makes it satisfying to look at before you've even picked a single leaf. Which brings us to the one crop that outperforms all 15 others, when speed, ease, container performance, and repeat harvesting are all weighed together. At number 1 is Arugula. Peppery baby leaves are often ready in as little as 2 to 3 weeks. Sometimes sooner if early September stays mild, and it needs only a shallow 6 inch container while tolerating dense sowing better than almost anything else covered here. Cooling weather actually softens its bite rather than dulling its growth, and its regrowth after cutting is remarkably reliable, often supporting 3, 4, or more harvests from a single sowing in one small pot. No other crop on this list matches that particular combination. Genuine speed, minimal container depth, forgiving growth, and repeated harvests from the same small footprint, which is exactly why Arugula is the one worth starting with this September if you only plant one thing from this entire video. Whichever of these you decide to start with, the season is genuinely on your side right now, so get something sown this week and let the cooler weather do the rest of the work for you. If this saved you some guessing on what to plant, subscribing is the easiest way to keep these seasonal container guides showing up for you. And if you want more gardeners to find this one, a like and a quick comment genuinely go a long way.